America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. We're going to dive right into our topics today. We have a great show for you tonight, folks. Our first topic today is CNN is promoting an app that displays where ICE agents are located around the country. And this comes after a report that shows that there's a over 500% increase in attacks on ICE officers around the country over the last 6 months. This is something that should be directly investigated. They should not be able to essentially dox these people. They wear masks for a reason because of this violence that is shown towards them. They're a federal agency, just like any other federal agency. I don't love the ATF, but you don't see me doxing ATF agents. People should not be doxing ICE agents just because they disagree with them. People shouldn't be doxing FBI agents or police officers or politicians in general. Nobody should really be doxing anybody. That's a pretty messed up thing to do. But when it comes to doxing federal agents and putting them and their families in harm's way, when they're doing their jobs, they're working for the federal government trying to make this country safer so people like Laken Riley do not have to pass away and Rachel Morin do not have to pass away. I commend every ICE officer for what they're doing. I thank them for what they're doing, and I pray that they're able to continue to do their job safely. I pray that they're able to continue to make America safer, because that's what the Republican Party voted for. That's what America First voted for. We voted for the mass deportation of the invasion that Joe Biden allowed. I don't think it's okay to allow 10.5 million people unchecked over the border. There are massive consequences that come with allowing that. It is insane to me that liberals thought it was a good idea to open the border, to repeal Remain in Mexico, to repeal every one of Donald Trump's executive orders that brought immigration numbers to all-time lows. Donald Trump was tremendous on the border in his first term. He wasn't as strong as Obama and Clinton, even though the Democrats ignore that a lot. Obama deported 2.5 million without court cases and over 5 million total, and I think Bill Clinton, it was like 4.5 million without court cases, 11 million total. Hillary Clinton has also always publicly spoke out against illegal immigrants as well. All Democrats did until Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and until Donald Trump in 2016. When Donald Trump in 2016 ran his campaign on we're going to build the wall and put America first, that's when this all started. That's when it became racist to talk about illegal immigrants and all that. I think the conversation with illegal immigrants is pretty simple. I think you need to follow the laws the same way I would have to follow the laws if I broke into their country. If I broke into Mexico, and I've looked this up on multiple occasions, I would be deported back to America. And there are other countries where way worse things would happen, and I've talked about that on the show. So I really think people doxing these ICE agents, and especially a big media platform like CNN publicly doxing these ICE agents with an app that they're promoting on their news website is extremely dangerous to the public. I think it's extremely dangerous for these federal officers. It's going to put the migrants at risk. It's going to put the officers at risk. You're going to have more riots around the country because of this. You're going to start more conflicts around the country because of this. And ultimately, someone will lose their life because of this, and that will be a tragedy. No federal officer should lose their life doing their job just because you disagree with the policy of what their job is. That's not okay. That's just blatant murder at a point. You cannot dox people and say, yeah, this is where these people are at all times. These are their names. And you could just take that and go look up all the other information about them. That is disgusting. I hope CNN immediately apologizes for promoting this app. I don't think they will. They got called out for it in the press briefing today. Caroline Leavitt talked about it. Or she didn't talk about it. She was asked about it. And when she was asked about it, she was shocked to hear about it. And then I went and I searched for the clip myself, only to find out that it was actually real. I didn't believe it the same way Caroline Leavitt didn't believe it. She was like, why would someone think it's an okay idea to dox federal agents? It goes against what we have worked towards in this country to try and build a safer America. We can't have people putting ICE agents, putting any law enforcement officer at risk. We need to back the blue. We need to protect our police officers. We need to protect the people who protect this country. America is the land of the free because of the brave. And without the brave, we wouldn't be the land of the free. So let's support the brave. Let's support our men and women who put their lives on the line every single day. Let's not put their families at risk by doxing them. Let's not continuously drive down this diversive path where everyone's fighting back and forth. Let's get to the common sense ground that we were at in 2015 before Donald Trump threw his name into politics when the border wasn't really a controversial issue. It was a very bipartisan thing that everyone agreed was a problem. Yes, we might need some immigration reform. There might need to be some changes for the legal process, but it doesn't mean you can allow people to pour over illegally. It doesn't mean you can allow people to abuse the asylee claims. People are saying they need asylum, and they don't actually need asylum in most cases. And then people also abuse the birthright citizenship part, especially the Chinese Communist Party. They have birthing grounds for Chinese Communist Party babies in the United States, and a lot of these people have been uncovered, arrested, and deported. This is all documented information. I've talked about the Chinese Communist Party buying massive amounts of farmland around the United States, specifically surrounding our military bases. Texas just took a step up for America. Texas is the first state to say China and the Chinese Communist Party has no right to buy any more land in Texas, specifically no more farmland. I really hope they take it a step further and they're able to purchase this land back. This would not only be crucial for the state of Texas for security, but it would also set a precedent for the rest of America, that America can stand up to the Chinese Communist Party internally. That we don't have to fight them in China. We're not actively fighting them in a war, but we do need to fix the problems domestically that could lead to problems down the future. I think if they are strategically buying the farmland around some of our greatest military bases, again, which is well documented, Dr. Phil did a whole documentary on it. I urge everyone to watch it. It's very good. But it can't be good. They play a generational long game that does not exist in the United States. We talked about this last week, but they are an empire that have been around for thousands of years, unlike the United States of America. They will pass this war along for generations if this is a war. And if it's not, which I pray it's not, that's amazing. But if it is a war, it's not one we're set to win right now if we're not doing anything about it. If Texas is the only one doing anything about it, we need to do what we can to protect our military, protect our federal agents. This all ties together. These are all important things. We need to protect the people who protect this country. We need to do what we can to protect this homeland. And I think we got a huge step in that last week. I talked about it a little bit, but the Supreme Court had a huge ruling that said that federal judges or district judges can't just place an injunction on Trump and stop his entire agenda. I think it's extremely important. Now they're able to actually enforce the birthright citizenship clause that Donald Trump signed in the executive order in February, which is extremely important because, again, it's one of the America First policies that we voted for. We need to do what we can to fix the problems domestically. My generation is not able to afford homes because of companies like BlackRock buying up literally all the homes. They are not able to get out of credit card debt. We have interest loans. We have interest on student loans that we'll never get out of. And we were told that we would need a degree. And in most cases, and in over 50% of cases, statistically, people who graduate college don't even end up using their degree in their job after college. That is extremely sad. We are being sold a bill of lies at a young age, and we need to fix that. We need to promote an America that promotes positive values. We need to promote an America that tries to build its citizens up to be great, no matter who they are or what they are. We need to promote an America. We need to promote the America that we were promised when we were kids, that our grandfathers had. We need to promote the America that people are proud of their flag, no matter what party they stand in front of. It's weird that if you see an American flag flying in front of someone's house, you know they're a Republican. That's weird. Everyone should feel patriotic about the American flag. The American flag is what we're all fighting for. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, we're fighting for this great land. We're fighting for the brave men and women who put their lives on the line so we could be here. It's selfish to not appreciate that, in my opinion. It's selfish to the people who don't see a veteran and thank them, or at least think of a nice thing in their head. It's selfish when people burn the American flag and wave another country's flag in our country. Again, I support your First Amendment right to burn a flag, but you have to understand that the optic of it is not great. The optic of burning an American flag while waving the flag of another country in America. If I did that in another country, they would consider it an act of war. And America shouldn't do that. Like I said, we have the First Amendment. We're a lot more further progressed, but the optics of it are awful. It's sad to see. It's sad to see a country in decline. It's sad to see the America we were promised not being given to us. And we need to fight for that. That's the reason we're here, to fight for that. We're here to push this generation forward. We're here to push this world forward. We're here to push America forward. We're here to build on everything that our ancestors built up for us. They built up this beautiful land, beautiful cities. They built up the greatest country to ever exist, a country that I'm so proud of. If you cut me open, I bleed red, white, and blue. I love this country more than anything else in my life. I appreciate all the men and women who put their lives on the line every single day and who continue to give their life for the service of this nation, no matter what role you're in. It's so appreciated by me and so many others. I wish more would show that appreciation. I wish more would feel the patriotism that I feel. I wish more would push for the patriotism that I feel. And I think we need to just keep pushing America first. We need to keep pushing that the American dollar needs to be worth more. It's worth so much. I think it's worth 500 times less than it was worth in like the 70s. It's gone downhill insanely since we've gone away from the gold standard. Ever since we moved away from the gold standard. When we moved away from the gold standard, our currency started devaluing extremely fast. Inflation rose out the wazoo because our currency wasn't really tied to anything anymore. And you saw over the last few years, especially throughout COVID and with the Ukraine war, they were printing dollars like it was nothing. And they didn't care about how it affected our grandkids. They didn't care how it would affect our kids or even us. They didn't care how it's affecting the Americans almost at all. And they still don't. They're refusing to cut interest rates, even though the economy is killing it in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it's not as well. Like, I'm not oblivious to the fact that, like I said, my generation cannot afford homes. It is unreasonable. A lot of that does have to do with interest rates, but it is unreasonable, the prices of homes, because of companies like BlackRock and other asset managers. I think Charlie Kirk is a pretty good take on this. I think all asset managers over, I think he says $100 billion. I don't know. All asset managers over an X amount of money, I forget what Charlie Kirk said, should not be able to be in the single family home business. And I completely agree. It's completely destroying the market. I think that while homes are not a right that should be given to you by the government, I think they should be accessible. I think they should be affordable. I think that you should not be gouged for somewhat of a necessity to live. I think that's ridiculous. I think the fact that when I first moved to Florida, rent prices were $1,300 a month, and 5 years later it's like $2,800 a month for the same square footage, same size place. It's okay. Like, what's happening? Why is this happening? Is it landlord greed? Is it the economy's bad? What is it? Because you look at the market at all-time highs. You look at gas prices around here, they're at lows. They're under $2.80 a gallon in most places in my town. You look at egg prices at all-time lows. A lot of grocery prices are going down as well. A couple are still up a little, but not really. For the most part, most things are down. But the one thing that seems to continue to rise is rent prices. The one thing that continues to rise is housing costs and these interest rates. They don't seem to want to cut the interest rates, no matter how good the economy is doing. And Donald Trump is continuously calling the Fed out on this. And what's Jerome doing? He's doing nothing. He's just sitting there. And they're even talking about replacing Jerome with Besson at this point because they're calling him Too Late Jerome. And Donald Trump and him are friends outside of politics. Like, they're actually really good friends. Donald Trump just disagrees with everything he does politically because it's pretty obvious. Like I said, he should cut the interest rates. It's almost necessary, and it will allow America to thrive. And we do need to also talk about the One Big Beautiful bill a little, because like I've talked about, it's not so big and beautiful. It's very big. There are some beautiful parts. Like I said, it takes away some of the power of the ATF and some of the tax stamps that the government is putting on things. It does give a lot of tax breaks to Americans, but it raises the debt ceiling and puts us in this interest spiral where we'll eventually just be paying interest. Like, all our taxes is just going to go to paying interest. We're not going to actually be paying down our debt, and we're going to be a failed society. It is, again, just contributing to the downhill of America. There are so many different factors contributing to the downfall of the American empire, and it hasn't fallen. It can easily be redeemed. It just needs the America First movement. It needs to be put first. America needs to put America over everything else. Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about this with Tucker Carlson in an interview on Friday. I think I briefly touched on it, but she talked about how in her years in government, I think it's 3 or 4 years now, they have enacted 22 different laws to benefit Israel. They have enacted over 10 different laws to benefit other countries, but zero to benefit Americans. She has been able to put zero legislature through to benefit the American people, but she has been able to put a lot through to benefit other countries. And again, I don't think us benefiting other countries is always a bad thing. There are mutual relationships and allies, even if our allies do undermine us, and we need to get them in line. Like, there are allies, there are mutual relationships. And yeah, if we have allies and fund them a little bit or support them here and there, that's one thing. But when we're not putting any legislature to help the next generations of America, what are we doing? Why are we so self-centered in this country right now? Why is everyone working for themselves and not for their future? Why are people not focusing on having families? We live in a society where families have fallen. Like, it is drastic, the numbers. We talked about it. There's been over a 33% drop in the amount of babies people are having over the last few years. Like, it is really declining. And not only that, fertility rates are dropping a lot, especially in my generation. They reported that over 99% of men in Gen Z have microplastics in their testicles, which impacts fertility, obviously, heavily. And obviously, there have been long-term studies now to show that birth control and certain things that women might be on as well might be impacting these things too. So there are things on both sides that are impacting fertility, impacting people's ability to have families. It's one of the reasons I heavily support Donald Trump's push towards IVF and funding IVF in America. Like I said, I think the next generations are the most important thing. I think if we're not thinking about the next generations and setting them up for the America that's going to be the most successful, we're going to fail them. We're not going to give them a country to look forward to. We're not going to give them hope. We're going to give them doubt. And we shouldn't. Every generation should try and provide for the next generation. And my generation is the first generation to have it worse off than our parents in American history. And it's proven by almost every metric. Suicides are up. Depressions are up. People are taking more SSRIs at younger ages. People are drinking more alcohol addicted, more drug addicted. They are, like, social media is depleting literally everyone's serotonin. People are falling to this. Again, technology is a great thing, but it has hurt my generation in big ways. I don't think humans were meant for the amount of social interaction we now get on a daily basis on TikTok and Instagram. Like, when we were growing up, if you got a phone call, like, you had no obligation to answer right away because someone called your home, and if you weren't home, they left a message. You didn't have a cell phone on you all day where they had 24/7 access to you, essentially. Like, it's so new to human nature, and we don't acknowledge this enough. But yeah, when I was a kid, like, you would get home, listen to your messages, and then call people back if you wanted to. But nowadays, it's like people can call you, and then if you don't answer, they're just texting you, and your phone's in your pocket, and you're dealing with it all day. And then to take the social media aspect of things, it's like a kid on TikTok consumes more news than, like, the average 80-year-old in 30 seconds. On scrolling on TikTok for just 30 seconds, blowing through videos, just watching the first 4 seconds of them, that kid is getting more news than your average 80-year-old. And that's not okay. Like, these minds are not able to comprehend these things that fast. The brain can only store so much knowledge. The brain can only store so many memories. And when you're wasting these memories on BS, dumb things that literally do not matter, that should not retain your brain's energy at all, that you should not be storing these things in your brain, you now are. And you're now lowering your brain capacity for the future. You're now lowering your brain capacity to be able to learn more concepts, develop new skills. You have less memory space because of this. That's how the brain operates. And we know very little about the human brain. It is one of the things that humans really don't understand that much. And we're learning about it every single day. And I'm sure AI will help this over time. And I'm sure we'll eventually get a more complex understanding of how the human brain operates and the long-term impacts on the human brain of certain things. But the long-term impacts of social media on the human brain have already been proven to be bad. And social media has not been around for that long. Like, it has been around for a little under 20 years or 20 years or so. And we really didn't get to a point where there was billions of people on it till a few years ago. And then during COVID, it exploded. You saw TikTok explode beyond Vine, which was one of the craziest things that ever happened during my generation. Instagram is billions of users. Facebook, same thing. These are things that are going to impact generations. They're going to impact people. And No one prepared us for this, and that's not the generation before us's fault. I think the government should have maybe put some more regulations on these things, or even if they didn't put regulations on them, I think these social media companies should have been a little more ethical, which again, maybe is a stupid thing to say too, because their entire goal is to get you on the platform, and if they're not making it addictive, they're not really succeeding. And they all made it addictive. They all figured, like TikTok specifically, figured out the most addictive algorithm. It gets people locked in. They will watch it for hours and consume a insane amount of their time on these things. And these are unhealthy things. These are things that are dragging this country down. There are so many things dragging this country down right now. And I really think that we need to just continue putting these America First policies forward. And I know I'm bouncing around a ton in this episode, but it all just boils back. Every topic I'm going to talk about tonight just boils back to, we need to put America over everything right now. We need to take America and we need to fix the problems in it before we fix the problems everywhere else in the world. Because yes, the world does have problems, and yes, we can help, but we also have a lot of problems and we're not helping. So let's fix this. Let's take care of our citizens. Let's show the citizens that the government actually cares about them, and they're not just trying to continuously hide things from them and lie to them and manipulate them. Because that's what most people believe of the federal government. Most people do not trust the federal government, because why would they? They watched Snowden literally get sent to, he's living in Russia now. Someone who worked for the CIA, who exposed that the CIA was secretly listening to all of our phone calls, not just criminals and terrorists, all of our phone calls. Edward Snowden revealed this publicly in a documentary and had to move to Russia to not be charged with treason. How is that treason to expose that your government is committing treason on the American people? I really hope Donald Trump pardons Snowden. I don't know why it hasn't happened. He pardoned Russ Albright, which I was very happy about. But Russ Albright's the Silk Road guy. He was a kid who invented an internet drug marketplace that allowed people to buy heroin and crack, which, like, again, like, I support him being, I support him getting pardoned. I support him being released, because he was, like, he did it in a libertarian way, and he did it in an extremely political way, and at a point it got out of his control, and that's when it really started going bad, when you really look into the Silk Road. So I do think that the pardon after, 20 years in jail is necessary, and I do think it's necessary that they pardon Edward Snowden. I think that he is an American hero, not a treasonist or whatever you want to call him. I think he is someone who showed America that the government was corrupt, and he literally had to leave his family in America and move to Russia. I don't know if I have to repeat it again. He had to move to Russia, what we call a dictatorship, to get away from America for charging him with treason for exposing crimes in our government. That seems like something Russia would do. That seems like something we would be reporting that Putin would do. Yeah, these are huge problems. We have a lot of corruption in the federal government, and I'm not just saying the presidency. I'm saying we have corruption in the bureaucrats and the NGOs. We have corruption in the lobbyists specifically. I talk about all the time, if you just removed lobbying as a whole, politics would be a lot less confusing for the younger generation. The amount of politicians who are shilling for a corporation or a group because they're paid money to do it is literally almost every politician. The amount who don't is that list is so much shorter than the amount of politicians who do take money from all these NGOs and whatever you want to call them, super PACs, and all these corrupt ways to give politicians money to just push an agenda. Because that's what's happening. We have people in our government who aren't even American citizens who are pushing the agendas of other countries. And it goes against American politics. It goes against what this country was founded on. And it's something that if I think our founders knew and looked at, they would be upset. They didn't want us to form alliances with other nations, and they didn't want us to create political parties. Two things that we blatantly disrespected, and two things that I think if we eliminated, this country would be a lot more successful. I think America needs to get back to America's founding principles in a lot of ways. I keep talking about this, but America first, putting America first in every way, the way our founders envisioned it. They didn't envision us sending billions of dollars a year to Ukraine and to Israel and to Mexico and to Canada and to Africa and to all these nations who are not supporting us. Trump had to practically beg these people to chip in at NATO finally, and even Spain didn't chip in. So it's like, Why are we pulling all the weight around the world for the last X amount of years for no one to be helping us, and our dollar is getting devalued? Our economy, they say, is growing, which again, it is in GDP and things like that, which again are buzzwords in politics. But look at the metrics that I'm talking about. My generation cannot afford homes. That is an important metric for a country. Can people afford houses? Can people just afford to live? And no, they can't, because of the current state of the real estate market in this country. And I've talked about the reasons to that. Charlie Kirk talks about the reasons to that. Even people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro talk about the reasons to that. It's not a right to own a home. You don't just get one from the government, but it should be affordable. It should not be impractical to be able to own a home and build a family. But they are making it impractical to own a home and build a family, which again is part of the reason we're seeing the decline in this culture. We're just seeing the decline in families. We're seeing the decline in birth rates, and we're seeing the decline in the nuclear family. People need to get back to the nuclear family. We need to understand that the nuclear family is the strongest thing. The government does not own our kids. The parents own the kids, and that is how it works. The parents should be able to teach their kids and instill their values in their children, and they should be instilling American values in these children, not the indoctrination that the public school system is currently giving to children. When I was in college, I had to deal with a lot of scrutiny because of liberal teachers. I wrote a 10-page paper for my final in my first year of college. It was about why Colin Kaepernick should not have need for the national anthem and how it was disrespectful to all the veterans who had died for that flag before him. My teacher gave me a 0 on a 10-page essay because of my politics. I then went to West Virginia, and I experienced extremely similar things. I had a teacher continuously fail me because of my politics. No matter what I did, no matter how good of work it was, everything was a 0 because of my politics. It is something that a lot of people deal with in this country. It is a huge problem in this country. And if we don't fix the public school system, if we don't fix the indoctrination of children at colleges and these schools, people are going to be a lot less inclined to continue to go to college. They already are a lot less inclined because of the rising interest rates, because of the price in college continuously rising and the value of a college degree decreasing. Yes, there are certain degrees that are very valuable. I've talked about this before. If you're going for engineering, you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, certain accounting, certain professions, it makes perfect sense for you to go to college. But if you're going to study things that you could just read books on, like, why are you going? Why are you wasting time, energy, and money? Why are you, like, if you're going to take that loan out, go start a business. If you're going to take that loan out, just put any effort into reading. Take 1/10 of the money out and go buy some books and read. Go teach yourself, and it's very possible. Autodidacts exist. Charlie Kirk is one of the biggest ones. He wrote a book, College is a Scam. He went to high school and graduated. I think he went to like one semester at community college, and then he failed out and was like, yeah, this was a scam. Same as me. He realized that it's a liberal indoctrination, that there are teachers there who will just fail you because of their politics, and because they're tenured in, it does not matter. You can go to every single administrator, file every single appeal, and go to the dean of the college, which I did at WVU and my first college, and none of it will matter because they have tenure and they can't touch these professors no matter how biased they are, no matter how much a whack job some of them are. So yes, these are the problems in America that are not putting Americans first. These are the problems in America that are seeing the decline in just general life happiness from my generation. Like I said, there's more people on SSRIs in my generation than any other generation before. More people depressed, anxiety, suicidal, more suicide rates than any other generation. Do we live in a worse world than we used to live in? I don't think so. I think, like, in a lot of ways, yes. Like I said, I think technology has ruined things. I think people don't spend enough time outside. I think socially it's a complete disaster, and people just want to ignore basic reality sometimes. But no, I think we live in a far more advanced society where we actually have more reasonable people, because that's how the human mind should progress. But for some reason, the woke indoctrination, the COVID really changed it. COVID really took a lot of people from really normal, or even just if they were on the fence, they're now far right, far left, conspiracy theorists, whatever you want to call it. COVID really changed a lot. COVID really put a huge COVID really put a huge amount of damage on the mental health of my generation and the generation below me, especially the generation below me, the ones who were in like middle school. And I couldn't imagine being in like elementary school, middle school, high school. Like when you're there, you don't love it. But like when you graduate, it's like one of the things you look back on. Oh my God, that went by so fast. That was the fastest 18 years of my life. And yeah, it's sad that kids missed that. It's sad that kids were told they couldn't see their friends to something that was probably not harmful to them almost at all. It was considered pretty much the common flu to most kids, actually, and to most people my age. And to people my age, it actually ended up hurting them sometimes if they got the vaccine. If you were in good enough physical shape and you worked out enough, like Bronny James, Damar Hamlin, you might have seen myocarditis risk. And if you were an airplane pilot and you were flying at high altitudes, you might have seen a myocarditis spike. And these are all proven data points. These are all things that are scary to see. These are all things that are hurting our nation, and we need to fix these things. We need to get a grasp on them. We need to get a grasp on what was America founded on, why was it founded that way, and let's continue to honor our founders. Let's continue to honor the principles that they tried to instill in this nation. Everyone has the right to the pursuit of happiness. We are all children of God. We need to make this world better for the future generations. These are things that our founders thought. These were things that our founders instilled in our documents to overcome time. They didn't create these documents to be changed. They created these documents to withstand time because they knew that over time, with political power comes political corruption and political tyranny. And over time, that will always happen if you don't have the right foundation in place. And people don't credit our founders enough for how smart they really were, but these men, some were geniuses because they created values that have built the greatest nation ever exist. And if we can continue to uphold these values, we can continue to promote the greatest country that ever exists, and we can continue to grow the greatest country that ever exists. Because right now, just like Japan, we are falling in birth rates. We will eventually be a dying country if we don't fall politically before we fall from birth rates or a nuclear war. There are so many possible disasters on the table right now, and war is one of the craziest things. It brings me to, if anyone didn't see Candace Owens' episode today, go watch it. Turn this off. Go watch it. Like, this is less important than Candace Owens' thing. Go watch Candace Owens' thing immediately and then finish this later if you even want to. Candace Owens dives into her being silenced on an insane level. So Candace Owens has reported that Macron's wife is possibly a man. And this could be a huge political scandal if it's just something they just hide from the public blatantly. Candace has reported on this previously many times, made an entire docuseries about it, got a fake lawsuit letter from Macron threatening to say you gotta stop, and then she didn't, and then nothing happened. And then Candace alleged today that she got a call from someone in the White House who had Trump's ear that said, hey, the reason the Russian-Ukraine war is not stopping is because Macron's holding it up because you won't stop talking about his wife being a man. And a few things. One, I'll dive into the further proof she gave that it happened in a second, but the fact that he's not just like immediately impeached, thrown to the wolves. If a guy is holding up a war and allowing millions of people to die, they're literally, you can look this up, pulling people with Down syndrome off the street in Ukraine and putting them on the front lines because they're out of soldiers. It is diabolical and despicable and vile what is happening there. It is so bad. The fact that they are allowing that possibly because a guy doesn't want Candace Owens talking about his wife, and something that has actually been pretty proven to be true. You don't go full nuclear over this unless it is true. This guy should be impeached. He should be jailed if that's true. But Candace Owens goes on in this podcast to talk about how she received that call. She questioned it a little bit. She tried to push back. Who was it? They wouldn't say. And then she got a call from Donald Trump himself asking her to stop, saying that we're so close to this deal and that we need the relationship with Macron to be better for it to happen. And if you keep talking about it, then it won't happen. And Candace stood up to Trump. Candace said, you're not going to silence me. She said, I'm not an unreasonable person. I'm a Christian. I don't want lives to be lost because I just want to talk about something. Like, I'll put a pause on talking about it, but either a deal is made soon or I'm talking about this because this is corruption. And she said, even if a deal is made or it's not made, whatever happens, I'm going to talk about this after. I'm going to talk about the fact that he tried to do this because this is my job. he's trying to silence me from talking about it, and he's allegedly allowing millions of people to die over it. The fact that Donald Trump is calling Candace, he apparently offered a podcast appearance in return for her stopping talking about it, among other things, which, again, I don't blame him for, but at the same time, a little bit I do. I'm in the middle. Like, I blame him for, like I said, he should have, if that's true, he should throw Macron to the wolves. He should have, Candace said this too, he should have turned right to Macron and said, okay, walked out the door, turned to the press and said, guess what this guy just said to me in there? It's as easy as that. Just throw him to the wolves. He's a absolute terrible person if he's allowing millions of people to die. Then at the same time, like, that's not very diplomatic. That could go over poorly in a lot of ways. Yeah, I'm sure there's other political things to it. But it's just crazy to me that Donald Trump and Macron went to such lengths to try and silence Candace over this. And again, I think it only proves Candace's point to be true even more. She even just doubled down on it on her show today. But yeah, I think that the fact that the real scandal, it's not the fact that his wife's a man. The real scandal is the fact that he is allowing millions of people to die to try and hide that. What? If you wanted to marry a man, just do it proudly. Why are you allowing millions of people to die? Why are you, like, there is extensive research done by Candace Owens if you watch her docuseries. Like, it is fairly proven that she is right, and I don't think Candace Owens would have risked her entire reputation and career and possible lawsuits if she was wrong. She did a lot of research. I watched it. It's pretty believable. She gives a lot of hard proof, hard evidence, and irrefutable evidence that I urge people to look at. But yeah, this was a crazy interview. There have been a lot of crazy interviews recently. We had the Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson. We had the Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I thought that one was a little slower, but still extremely insightful. Like I talked about, they talked about how there's no pro-America policies going on, and everyone in our government has been told that if they don't support Israel, then they'll be rooted out. And Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about how she's about to be rooted out after this interview, which is pretty believable. I think the people of Georgia might vote her in again, but they're going to run a strong primary against her for sure. That's just obvious. And then there's other things happening right now. Like I've talked about how Canada doesn't act like our ally anymore. Like Canada, supposedly one of our biggest allies, but they're not acting like it right now. They tried to impose a massive tax on our tech going into Canada, which would have just extremely interrupted the technology industry. And then after Donald Trump saw it, he said he's just stopping all negotiations with Canada on trade completely. And then Canada caved, obviously, because Canada would fall to a third world nation without the United States subsidiaries. Like anyone who denies that just doesn't understand the economics of Canada. They're failing in a lot of ways financially, and it's failing fast, and they need to fix it. And Mike Carney's not gonna fix it. He might even make it worse. But I do that he bent the knee to Trump. I think that Donald Trump is a strong world leader, and I think Donald Trump is putting America first. And I honestly do think Donald Trump will secure Canada as a territory or something by the end of his term. I would be surprised if he didn't. The support in Canada does not seem to be there, but the financial side of it, they could benefit a ton. Yeah, I'm not calling for a military invasion or anything. I'm just saying, I'm sure there's a purchase agreement that could be made somewhere, or some agreement somehow, because I think Greenland and Canada could be two necessary elements to defeating China one day, if we inevitably have to. I think biggest threats we have in this world to the United States are internally destroying ourselves, internally imploding, not reproducing, not sustaining families, not promoting better outcomes for the future, not investing in the future, being self-centered in the way most America is right now. And the other way is going to be us versus China. It's North Korea maybe, but I couldn't imagine that. I just don't. They're so much smaller. We could decimate North Korea pretty fast, theoretically. I think China is the problem. I think we have to prepare ourselves for this war against China. And I'm not saying individual Americans need to go rifle up and prepare themselves. We need to start preparing America. We need to start teaching our kids work ethic the same way they have work ethic there. We need to start promoting American manufacturing and stop focusing on Chinese manufacturing. We need to promote the American dollar and American trade in China. It's crazy the amount of things that can be traded over here that can't be traded over there. Same with Japan and a lot of these other countries. That's why Trump did tariffs in the first place. And why I think Donald Trump is so great for this nation in a lot of ways. Like I said, I don't agree with him on everything. I stood so far against the Israel-Iran conflict because I voted for no new wars, and that was a new war. But I do think Donald Trump is a net benefit to this country. He's doing a lot of great things for this country. America is the land of the free because of the brave. America is the land that I love. Like I said earlier, you cut me open, I bleed red, white, and blue. I love this nation more than anything. I want to support this nation. I want to support its law enforcement agencies in every sector. I want to support the military in every sector. I want to support American manufacturing, American jobs, and the American dollar. I want to support not just my generation, but the generation after me and the generations for 10 generations to come. I want to build an America that Americans can be proud of on every side of the aisle, where everyone's waving an American flag no matter what, where everyone understands that patriotism is not your political party. Patriotism is loving your nation and wanting to fix it. Patriotism is wanting America to be America, not wanting America to degrade itself, not wanting America to lose its value. America is literally falling. I've talked about this. If we don't have more kids, we will inevitably just fall to population collapse. They talk about this a very small amount in the media, not enough as they should. You have people like Elon Musk talking about it, and he even talks about it. That's the reason why he wants to have so many kids, because we need to just have kids. If people aren't having 3 kids apiece, then we're going to be falling to lower rates. And I know it's hard for everyone to have 3 kids apiece, especially, like I said, when you have declining fertility rates in my generation. It's hard, if not impossible, for some people in my generation to get pregnant or get people pregnant because of the microplastics and because of all the toxins and poison they put in our food. Again, it takes me back to America First and supporting Robert F. Kennedy, putting health first, make America healthy again. Why are we supporting... I don't care about the Post brand. I don't care about Kellogg's. I don't care about their profit margins. I care about the health of our kids. I don't care that these big companies are able to make a ton of money because they're able to put poison in our foods. Like, why would I be happy about that? Or why would anyone in America celebrate that? But that's what's happening. That's what's been happening for years. If you're feeding your kids vegetable oil and corn oils and these seed oils and all these poisonous things, you are putting them in a place where their hormonal development will be different than how yours was growing up when it was normal. You are altering the genetics of your child, essentially. It is terrible what is in our foods. It's terrible the medicines they're giving a lot of children. And it's terrible the direction this country is going in a lot of ways. America needs to fix these problems. America needs to put America first. There are patriots who do this, and I will continue to always do this. But we need more patriots to step up and put America first every single day. I love America. I will always fight for you, America. You have one patriot here who will always stand by your side. I'm James Pascalides. This has been episode 79 of America Unfiltered. I forgot to introduce this at the beginning, but this is our book of the week, the Daily Stoic. Every single day, it works like a calendar, this book. It has 365 pages, 365 days. Every day there's a new message, a new quote, new reading. It's borderline religious. It's not religious, but it walks the line of it because of it's enlightening. It's motivating. It pushes you. It will make you want to be a better man. And I'm not saying it wouldn't want to make you be a better woman either. I think this book is primarily geared towards men. I think Stoicism is generally slightly more geared towards men. Always has been, but anyone can be stoic or adopt stoic activities. I'm not saying women shouldn't read it. I encourage anyone who wants to be more stoic to read this, but this is something that has helped my life a lot. It's something that if I'm having a hard day, and today's June 30th, I could flip to the June 30th page, and it will give me something to motivate me and pick me up, and it will tell me why my problems aren't actual problems, and how I can move past my problems if they are, and how I can put my problems behind me and build a better future, and how I can do what I can to be my best self. And if everyone in America acted more like this, if everyone in America, for just a little bit, for just one generation, maybe a couple, but if for just one generation, if we could just stop living selfishly, if we could put everything towards the future, not my generation, not even the ones that are alive yet, for the babies that are born next year. Can we fix that for them, for when they grow up, for the next 18 years? Please, can we fix it for that generation? Can we make this better? I'm truly signing off now. Hope everyone has a blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.